Friends, in today's video, we are going to discuss as to is it really possible that India will face a recession in foreseeable future. As we have seen, because of the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, the global supply chain system is completely disrupted. As much as there is inflation globally because of the disruption in the supply chain and the geopolitical disturbances. Most of the central banks across the globe have increased the reference interest rate in the respective countries. As a result of that, the cost of capital in all the countries, including India, also has gone up, which has resulted into in the stock markets going down substantially in last couple of months. Many people are talking about in America and everywhere else as to is it that we are going to face the challenge of recession. I do not know about the globe, but as far as India is concerned, we are of the view that at least in foreseeable future, India will not have to face the difficulty of recession. And why is that? That is because of 21 very strong reasons because of which we feel that India will not face recession in the foreseeable future. Now, what those 21 reasons are? Remember, for any economy to do well, there are certain factors which are required. What those factors are? Those 21 factors are: number one, abundance of natural resources, renewable as well as non-renewable. And on this parameter number one, India fits very well. Number two, what we need for an economy to grow and do well on a sustaining basis is adequacy of skilled and productive manpower, that is demographic dividend. And we all know that as far as India is concerned, India is having abundant supply of manpower in our country, skilled, semi-skilled as well as unskilled. Third factor which is required for an economy to grow is technological advancement. In last about 8 years, we have seen India has been progressing very rapidly as far as the technological advancement is concerned. As late as just yesterday, our defense establishment have tested aircraft, a drone technology based aircraft successfully. That is one example. Plus, in the domain of chips, also India has taken massive initiative which are going to bring rich dividend in medium to long term future. Number four, what we need for economy to grow is sound manufacturing sector. And we have seen, as far as India is concerned, in all these sectors, be it manufacturing, be it FMCG, be it infrastructure, be it productivity, in every sector, India is having very strong manufacturing, very sound manufacturing sector. Number five, we need sound service sector, and this obviously does not need any elaboration because we all know as to how India is servicing the whole globe with its IT technology and such other related matters. Number six, what we need, adequacy of agri produce or even excess of it. And I'm sure all of us are aware that India today is having surplus agri output. As much as we have been exporting sugar, we have been exporting wheat, we have been exporting so many other products, agri products globally, and which means India has a very sound base of agri produce. Number seven, what we need for an economy to grow is liberal and encouraging policy framework, and that we have seen. First time in this country, the government has come out with something which is known as PLI, productivity linked incentive. and which is making huge positive impact on the manufacturing sector of this country. The government is trying to do everything possible to ensure that the industrialization is encouraged, infrastructure building is encouraged, and therefore the seventh requirement for an economy to grow, and that is liberal and encouraging policy framework, is also very much there today in our country. Number 8, what we need for an economy to grow is competitive environment. This point again does not need any elaboration. The kind of policy framework that we have in this country, obviously it is encouraging the competitive environment all across. Ninth requirement is accountable political system. We all are experiencing today in this country as to there is a accountability at every step as far as the political system is concerned. The way the state governments, the way the central government have been thinking only in terms of how to take this country forward is really helping the economy of this country. As much as today we have, our country has set a target to become soon a $5 trillion economy by the year 24-25. It's not important whether we become a $5 trillion economy by 24 or 25. What is more important is that we have taken a resolution, we have taken a resolve that India is going to become a $5 trillion economy. And everyone in this country is working in that direction, and which definitely is going to happen. So that is the point number 9, and that is accountable political system. The 10th requirement for any economy to grow is good educational facilities, and today we know that in every walk of education, whether it is engineering, whether it is medical, whether it is IT education, whether it is biotechnology, in every respect India is building a very solid infrastructure of education facilities in this country, and that takes care of the 10th requirement. As much as today we have so many foreign students coming to India for getting education here. The 11th point that we need for the purpose of an economy to grow is overall good infrastructure. Since the independence, and we have had a challenge as far as the infrastructure is concerned, but today when you go in any city of this country, you can see the roads are getting widened, you will see the metro projects are being brought out. So everywhere there is a huge focus on building of the infrastructure in every aspect. The whole country has already got connected with the power. Even the villages have been connected with the power. So there is electric supply in every house in this country today. And that means today what we have, the 11th requirement, and that is overall good infrastructure. The 12th is free flow of capital and technology. All of us are aware that today our forex reserves are to the tune of about $640 billion. That never was the case in this country ever since independence of this country. So there is a huge amount of free flow of capital happening. At the same time, there is a technology available from outside. Even though the country is today focusing on building Atmanirbharta, which is so crucial for the economic development of any country. So on one hand, we are working very hugely on Atmanirbharta, self-reliance, self-dependence, and at the same time, we also have the easy access of any technology from the outside India. So that is your requirement number 12. The requirement number 13 for economic development of a country is tapping and optimization of natural resources. We read every day in newspapers and in electronic media as to how the country is moving forward in terms of solar energy, in terms of renewable energy, how the corporate world, including a company called Reliance Industries, all of you would know, is focusing on the energy as a sector. So that's your 13th requirement, that is tapping and optimization of natural resources, which is happening very extensively. 14th requirement for an economy to grow is good governance and transparent administration. And we can see it very much how the governance is improving in this country day by day, and has happened so much in last so many years. There is a good governance, there is an accountability, there is a responsibility. Unlike in the past where people will resort to corrupt practices and so on and so forth, but that is now slowly on the on decline, and so there's a good improvement in good governance and transparent administration. More so with the help of digitization, the way the country has adopted digitization in every walk of life, that also is helping the country in improving the good governance as well as transparent administration. Not only that, it is also removing the inefficiencies from the system and making all the systems extremely efficient, and that is what we all have experienced. The 15th requirement for an economy to do well is accountable corporate democracy. Unfortunately, friends, in this country, the ownership by the corporate world was always taken for granted. If a promoter, if a business house, if a business group started a company investing hundreds and thousands crores of investment, irrespective whether the company was doing well or company was not doing well, the promoters and the owners would take the ownership of that company for granted. As a result of that, in this country we had a huge amount of NPAs running into 50,000 crores of NPAs since independence. Now, because of the advent of insolvency and bankruptcy code, a full brake has been applied to this thought process of the corporates in this country that the ownership was taken for granted. Not anymore. There are so many examples. With the advent of IBC, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, we have seen as to how promoters of certain companies had to give their companies away to a new management only because the existing promoters were not able to run those companies profitably and they were making losses. And as a result of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, the management of these companies have shifted from the existing promoters to the new set of promoters, which is again helping the economy, because these assets which were otherwise dormant, not adding any value, rather becoming a drag on the economy of the country, now these assets have started adding value to the economy. So the 15th requirement for an economy to grow and sustain on a sustainable basis is accountable corporate democracy. You cannot take, the corporates in this country today cannot take the ownership for granted. 16th requirement is differentiation between the profit and value creation. So unlike in the past, and we have so many examples as to how few unscrupulous businessmen, they virtually robbed the country through their companies of the resources and siphoned those resources outside the country. Today everybody has understood that this is not possible any further. Today businesses have realized, because of so many factors, that if they have to hold the control of the business in their hand, if they have to continue to manage the companies that they have in their hand, they will have to ensure they create value by making profit, or they make profit by creating value. Merely focusing on profit and siphoning those profits outside the country is not going to work anymore, is not working any further or any more. So the 16th requirement for an economy to do well is the business, the corporate world has to understand the difference between profit and value creation, and the focus of course has to be on value creation. The 17th requirement is constant removal of inefficiencies from the system. And friends, we have seen, can you imagine the kind of digitization that has taken place in last few years? If that digitization was not to be in place, how difficult it would have been for this country to run. With a population of 140 crore and there is no digitization, you can imagine what kind of funds, what kind of currency, what kind of administration, what kind of more manpower would be required to do the same job, which is so easily done with the help of digitization. So the 17th requirement, and that is constant removal of inefficiency from the system, is happening on account of the digitization, on account of the use of IT technology. 18th factor that we need for an economy to grow is national culture of character and commitments towards the country and everyone. And please remember, this is fundamental. This is fundamental. If economy of a country has to grow, that country and the people of that country got to build a culture of nationalistic, patriotistic, and 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 love for the country. So people have to think in terms of country first. That is what is extremely important for an economy to grow. If the country does not have the culture of patriotism or nationalism, if the country has the culture of corruption, which unfortunately for so many decades of our post our independence we had in this country, the economy cannot grow. But today people have understood that it is only with the growth in the country they can grow. Only when they contribute, the country can grow. Only when they keep the country first, the country can grow and they can grow. So the eighth requirement for an economy to grow is national culture of character and commitments towards the country and everyone. And we are seeing it happening day in and day out, every day in our day-to-day life. The 19th factor, of course, all this is very much necessary for an economy to grow. What you also need huge demand for the goods and services. So if you have production facilities, you have produce of agriculture, you have everything, but if there is no demand, can that economy grow? And the answer, of course, not. The country cannot grow. But you need demand. You need demand for the goods, you need demand for services. And can you imagine a country with a population of 140 crore, will it ever run short of demand of any product or any services? And the obvious answer is no. So this country today is market for the world. So when the country is market for the world, why it cannot be market for itself? So when the country is market for itself, there is a huge demand. When there is a huge demand, there is a very good infrastructure, everything which is required is available. How can the economic activity in that country go down? And therefore, how can a recession set in a country like that? The 20th factor for the purpose of an economy to grow is a strong conviction and belief, and that we of course see everywhere in this country. And the 21st factor for an economy to grow is a visionary and decisive leadership. And fortunately, friends, we see this in this country. Today, truly, we have a leadership which is visionary, which is decisive, which is working for the well-being of every person in this country. Now, with these 21 factors in place, now you tell me, is it possible that in foreseeable future, India will face or India can face any slowdown in the economic activity on a continuing basis? So in our view, and taking into account all these factors, we are absolutely firm in our belief that with all these 21 factors in place in our country, it is highly impossible, at least in the foreseeable future, when these 21 factors are there, we will have a recession in this country. If you agree with me, please write to me. If you do not agree with me, then also please write to me. Thank you.